This is a Mayluna Media production. You're listening to Love, Light, and Black Holes. I'm your host, Morgan Garza, here to remind you of your disco ball soul so you can dance with your darkness. If you're sick of love and light spirituality like I was, you're in the right place. We keep it real, go deep, and give voice to your shadow so your light shines even brighter. Enter the void. Welcome back, Shadow Sparklers and Shame Slayers. I am so excited to dive into this week's episode because it is something that I used to be really bad at. It took me so long to learn how to have boundaries, to learn how to say no without apology or explanation or over-explaining or getting sweaty or wanting to vomit or being covered in like shivering, shaking chills. So this is a great way for me to honor how far I've come, share with you what I've learned, and remind you that no is a full sentence. But before we get into all of that, I have some very exciting news to share with you. A course that I have created is coming up. It's called Nocturne. It is a course for the season that we are in. It is a course for the shadow work that I love doing, and it is a 3-week journey, 21 days, that is going to take you through my 4-step shadow work process and really the essence of what shadow work is, how I move through it, how this is the season of shadows and the best time to do shadow work, and going to take you through 3 weeks of audios, of exercises, of community, of working through what holds you back so that you can identify what it actually is, what lives in your shadow, how you can work with it, what the root was, where it started, where it came from, how it has impacted your entire life since it started, since its inception, since its origin story. And this is something that I am so incredibly passionate about, as you know, because this is how I shine so bright. After all of the things that happened in the past few years, losing my dad, my husband's sobriety, my mom being in the hospital, my dog having 3 surgeries, moving, me having surgery, our truck needing a new engine, honestly, on and on and on, losing 4 family members, 1 to suicide. It was relentless, y'all. Like, there was not a time in the past 3 years that I was actually like, okay, great. Because every single time that happened, some other flood, some giant waves, a tsunami came in, ripped me from my peace, knocked me off my center, and shattered me from the inside out. And here I am, talking about it, sharing about it, creating a literal entire company around it. And this is because I've done the work, because I am continuing to do the work, because shadow work never ends. And this is my passion. So come learn it from me because I love it so much. I'll make it not scary. I was actually at a summit this past weekend, the Witch Summit here in Phoenix. I had a sold out shadow work workshop, y'all. There was not an empty seat in the house. I actually even took a couple people at the end. It was the highest attended event of the entire weekend, including headliners. So this tells you that people are ready. So are you ready? Isn't it time for you to stop denying yourself your light? Come dive into Nocturne with me. The price goes up 10/10. If you're listening to this before 10/23, you can still get in. I know that 10/10 is soon, and this comes out on 10/8. So wherever you are in this journey, it's time to do some shadow work, y'all. So come join me. Nocturne is open until October 23rd, and then we're going to dive deep for 3 weeks. I really hope to see you there. I know this is what the people need because I have been told by the people that they need it. And if you're going to learn shadow work and do it with anyone, do it with me. I love this shit. This is what I live for because I have seen the light. I'm not going to make you talk in tongues or pass around snakes or anything like that. It's all virtual. Everything's going to be recorded. You are going to be able to go through this however many times you want and through your lifetime. It is going to teach you so much and give you such a strong foundation so that you are going to be able to actually move through your triggers on a daily basis. And this is what I would love for you to be able to do. The link is in my bio. The link is down below in the show notes. Come in and join me, and I'll see you there. So let's dive into boundaries. And we're starting with a huge myth. Most people think boundaries are mean, that they push people away and build walls and make you difficult and really just create this uncomfortable energy, but that's conditioning. especially for women, because we were raised in a society that wants us to play small, to sit down, to be quiet, to stand in line, to smile, to not smile too much, and on and on and on. So this is going to remind you that boundaries are freedom, that no is a full sentence, and that pretty much everything you've ever wanted is on the other side of your boundaries. And let's talk about why. Boundaries create structure within which to operate. Imagine that boundaries are the masculine in your life. They are this masculine structure like a chalice or a wine glass or a cup or a bowl or something. They are a physical structure for you to exist within. And then you, your feminine energy, your feminine essence, is able to be contained and held within that masculine structure. Otherwise, the feminine is chaos. And without the feminine, the masculine is pure rigidity. And it doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman or anything in between. This isn't about your gender. This is about the energy of female and male that we all have within us. Boundaries are masculine. They create permission for the feminine to flow. And once I understood that, once I started realizing that boundaries were actually freedom and being able to say no to something without apologizing or people pleasing or over explaining, was when I truly gained so much freedom. And you've probably heard this 1,000 times, but when you say yes when you mean no, when you say sure when you mean hell, no, fuck that, you are abandoning yourself. You are betraying yourself. You are creating a disconnection between what your intuition is telling you, what your body wants, what your body feels, and what your mouth is saying. And whether you kind of want to do it, but you don't really, so you say yes anyways, and then you feel like you're putting yourself out, and then you really have to do it, and then you show up on the day and you really don't want to be there, and then your energy's all off because you know you should have said no to this in the first place. Yeah, that's resentment. You start resenting yourself and you don't realize that it's being directed towards you. That's kind of the crazy part. When you start betraying yourself and abandoning your intuition and abandoning your true desires, you don't really know it's happening in that way because you don't have the backlash as if you did it to someone else. If you betray a friend or a loved one or a partner, you're gonna know. But when you betray yourself, it is so subtle. It is so much more difficult to see and comprehend the impact that that has. And this is why boundaries are such a beautiful way to create a deeper sense of self-love with yourself. And this is a kicker, to treat people how to treat you. Because when they see you treating yourself with love and self-respect and having boundaries, for example, you said you weren't going to eat cheese for a month, so every time you go out with your friends, you're really not eating the cheese. That's a boundary. You say you're going to go to the gym, and you go to the gym, and you notice all of these things, and even just keeping that promise to yourself is a boundary. You think, hey, it would be a great idea to drink an entire glass of water before I have any coffee or tea or food or whatever in the morning. Maybe add a little lemon juice, maybe add a little salt. And the more consistently you do that and you show up for that boundary that you've set with not having coffee first thing is a boundary within yourself. So these are really simple daily examples, and we'll get into this more, but just to set the tone that the way that you have boundaries with yourself is going to be the way that you have boundaries with other people. So if you're sitting there thinking like, oh shit, I always say I'm going to bed and then I watch one more episode. I always say I'm not buying chips and then I buy the chips and I eat them an entire sitting. I always say I'm not going to scroll any longer and all of a sudden 2 hours has passed. You know, like these are also boundaries. We don't think about that with ourselves because we think about, oh, boundaries with other people, that's really easier to comprehend. I don't like when you talk to me like this, that's a boundary. I don't want to go here with you, that's a boundary. We're not going to talk about this, that's a boundary. But when it comes to yourself, it's really hard to nail down what actually is a boundary, how to uphold them, because you're really only answering to you. And if you're your own boss and you're not really keeping tabs and you're kind of out to lunch, you're going to get away with murder. And this is what I did for so long. I'm coming to you from a place of I be knowing. I'm not just telling, I was here with you. So let's get into how boundaries are freedom and not restriction, because they're not rejection, they're not restriction, they're redirection. They don't separate people from you with a wall. They allow you to have a password. a little moat around your castle to be like, hey, if I know how to cross this moat, then I gain access to you, then I am respecting your boundary. You can't be authentic and a people pleaser at the same time. So when you think that boundaries are control, then you're keeping yourself from setting them with yourself and with other people. But they're actually about clarity. It's really a simple shift in your mind to realize how much you gain from boundaries when you allow yourself to see them differently. And just that mindset shift like clicks you into a different identity, that you identify with boundaries and yourself and other people in a different way. They're like a sacred perimeter, an energetic architecture that protects your peace. And without boundaries, your energy leaks everywhere. It is the feminine without the wine glass, without the chalice, without the container. There is everything everywhere all at once. And then you end up resentful and burnt out and wondering why you feel disconnected from yourself because you are continuously betraying yourself over and over again. But with boundaries, everything you say yes to has meaning. It has intention. You are coming from a place of, I've checked in twice, I've triple checked in that I really want to do this. It feels good in my body. It's a full body yes. I'm going to say yes to this. So rather than allowing yourself to just knee-jerk, people please, yeah, sure, I'll do it. And then immediately you're like, God damn it, I really don't want to do that. Why did I say that? Now I'm stuck doing this thing that I don't want to do, that doesn't feel aligned, that doesn't make me feel alive. And now I have to show up and do the thing. And then you are resentful. And that is just really an energy that you're directing towards yourself because there's no one else to blame but you. So let's not block power here. Let's redirect it. Let's direct it in a way that feels really expansive and really open because boundaries are set first within. And here's what I mean by that. Before you can set boundaries with others, you have to hold them with yourself. So like we were talking about earlier, this is saying no to your sabotage, resting before you crash, not betraying yourself to be liked, sticking to what you know is right, even if it's inconvenient. And I think the inconvenient piece is the biggest one that gets us because it's easier to just say yes. It's easier to just do the thing and deal with the repercussions, deal with the extra workload, deal with the not wanting to be there, dealing with whatever comes with what happened when you said yes. But yes is a full body feeling. So if it's not a full body feeling, then what are you doing saying yes when you don't really mean it? And having this start as an internal exploration is exactly how you're going to be able to set boundaries with other people. You set and respect your own boundaries, and then it's going to be so much easier for you to set them with other people because you have this strong understanding, appreciation, respect for what boundaries are, for how they serve you, for how they actually do create more freedom in your life because you have these guardrails to exist within. You say, I do this, I don't do that. These are my morals, these are my values. This is what I believe. This is what I'm going forward with. This is what I want to uphold. But if you don't have any of that, you are formless, you are chaotic, you are malleable, you are impressionable. And that means you are able to be controlled. And nobody wants to be controlled. The boundaries you hold with yourself become the blueprint for how others love you. And if you are setting boundaries with someone and they get mad, they just wanted to control you. They wanted to take advantage of your energy. If you set boundaries with someone and they backlash at you, they were taking advantage. And now they had no longer have access to that stream of energy. It's like they removed the tap. Now it's not flowing. And now you've put a password protected on that two-factor authentication and they don't have the details, the credentials to get in. They are going to be pissed. If this happens to you, you really need to reconsider your relationship with this person because they were taking advantage of you. They were taking advantage of what you were willing to give. And now that you're no longer willing to do it, they don't see the value in continuing the relationship in the same way. You have to be really clear when you're setting these boundaries in these containers, especially with partners and loved ones and business partners and family, because they are so used to you being a different way. Some may be like, okay, shit, this kind of sucks. But I get it. I understand. It's going to take time for me to be able to implement this and for me to be able to change my ways because I've been operating in a different way in this relationship. And now I'm going to be operating in this other way. I respect that, but please be gentle with me as I get used to the new normal. If someone approaches you like that, like, hey, wow, okay, I get it. It's going to take some time to get used to, like, great. They are open. They respect you. They understand that you are honoring your peace, that you are protecting your peace. But if someone backlashes, gets really mad, has a whole like outburst, fuck that, fuck them, hell no, no way. You do not have time to keep people pleasing and keep extending yourself, overextending yourself for other people and betraying yourself and abandoning yourself. That's not love that they had for you. That's access. And this is where shadow work meets empowerment. Because learning to tolerate someone else's disappointment without making it your responsibility is when you really start understanding that this isn't a you problem, this is a them problem. Like, that doesn't have anything to do with me. You can go ahead and be all mad about the boundary that I set to protect my peace, but that's not going to be my problem. And I'm not going to put any more energy towards that. So you being empowered in this place, that is how you're going to actually hold on to your container that you set when things get rocky and when people challenge you and when people really want to tear it down, be like, well, why are you doing this? Why is that happening? I don't understand. This is hardest probably with family. When you have to set boundaries with family, when you have previously had this open door policy in life, in emotions, in whatever it may be, that is probably going to be who is going to take it hardest, because families have very thin lines in between, the separation between themselves. And I've seen so many friends try to set boundaries with their parents, and their parents are just like, what? Like, you're my child. I'm going to do whatever I want. I can't believe that you're setting this boundary with me. I can't believe that I can't do this thing anymore. So as you're going through this, come back to your center, come back to your why. Come back to reminding yourself that this boundary isn't a wall, it isn't a block, it is an agreement of operation that we are going to both agree to going forward in order to continue this relationship in the same way. So if they're mad, good, that's data. It means you're no longer feeding dynamics that drained you. They were feeding off of you. And they were taking and taking and taking until you finally put your foot down, and now they're not receiving in the same way, and that is when people get mad. So let's bring this to the spiritual. Boundaries as liberation, because that is really at the essence what they are. And Young Pueblo, you probably follow him on Instagram. He has beautiful books and poetry and posts the most profound statements and ideas and thought-provoking poems. He is a modern poet and philosopher. He says, loving yourself doesn't mean you have to tolerate disrespect. It's simple, but damn, it cuts deep. Because here's the truth in that. Boundaries aren't walls to keep people out. They're love notes to yourself. They're how you protect your peace, your energy, your time, your frequency. When you start honoring your own energy like that, when you stop entertaining chaos just because you're afraid to disappoint someone, you start to notice how the universe responds. Everything gets clearer and cleaner and lighter. You have a deeper sense of self and connection to your self-worth, to your solar plexus chakra, that yellow, bright, I am worthy space just below your sternum above your belly button. This is where your willpower comes from, and it takes a hell of a lot of willpower to set a boundary, especially with yourself, and to respect it. And then Brené Brown, queen of courage and compassion and vulnerability, says it this way: daring to set boundaries is about having the courage to love ourselves, even when we risk disappointing others. Let that land for a second. Even when we risk disappointing others. and go back to, well, if I set a boundary and they got mad, you know, these are such important and profound things to think about as you exist in relationships in the world. Absolutely everyone needs boundaries, because every time you set a boundary, you're practicing self-love in real time. You are advocating for yourself. You're choosing your peace over their comfort. You're saying, I love you, but I love me more, which should always be the case. I love myself first. I love myself most. I love myself always. I took that from an episode of Queer Eye, so I give that to you. It's really profound. It's really good. So this is why I say setting boundaries is freedom. Boundaries are soul-level declarations of worth. Each one is a spell that says, I am not available for what drains me, only for what aligns me. And let's get into how no is a full sentence. When you say no, full stop, that is power. Try doing it. Just like, no, nope. Not gonna do that. Not gonna put up with that. Not gonna go there. No is the word that you've been looking for, searching for, that is so hard to get out of your mouth, off of your tongue, past your lips because of fear. Fear of disappointing others, exactly what Brené Brown said. We say yes when we mean no because we are people pleasing. We are putting ourselves below the needs of others. So when you say yes and you really mean no, you are betraying yourself. When you say no and you mean no and you don't over-explain and you don't say why and you don't apologize, and you can still say no tactfully. It doesn't have to be like, nope, fuck you, bye, and turn around and leave. I mean, it can. It depends on the situation. Permission granted. But it is really something that is going to liberate you. I spent so much time saying yes to everything and everyone was fine, and I didn't want to stir the pot, and I didn't want to make things more complicated, and I thought I was a really cool girl. I thought it was super chill. I thought I was like a very go with the flow. I'm down for anything. It doesn't matter. But like, turns out I have opinions. I have things that I want to do and things that I don't want to do. I have things that I want to say and things that really need to be said and things that maybe sometimes I shouldn't say out loud, but we know we're all thinking it, so I'm going to say it anyways. But when I realized that I could say no and I didn't have to explain or apologize and I could still do it tactfully so I didn't feel like a dick, my entire life changed. And this was probably in my very early 20s after high school, when like you get to college and, you know, high school is a whole thing. You know everybody knows you, whether you're a big deal or not, or whatever your high school experience was. Going to college after that is like, oh, I am nobody. Like, no, like I am like really nobody. No one knows me. I am nothing. Like I am just a tiny little fishy in this giant pond, and you have a whole identity shift and you become a kid again in a way, because you are just like this little person in this really big world, a really young person in a world that's been going on forever. You know nothing, you know no one, and it's just this like total identity shift. So when I came out of like the people pleasing that I was doing in high school, went into college, I realized like I can be whoever I want. And I kind of talked about this when I moved to Spain a few episodes ago. But this isn't like, oh, I'm going to just reinvent myself and take on a whole new personality and like be a totally different person. It's like, no, I'm going to actually allow myself to finally be myself, be me, and not edit myself for other people's expectations of me because they've known me since childhood. And so when I gave myself that permission, the permission slip that I didn't even know I needed so badly, I really started realizing how much I had been abandoning and betraying myself. And I don't think that I could put those words to it then. Now I can, but at the time, I just knew it felt good. I knew it felt so good to say no to something, to give myself that freedom, to give myself that autonomy, and that just like, I've got your back, I'm going to advocate for this. It gave me that sense of self-love that I had never given to myself before. And so I was able to start saying no more confidently. At first, I was terrified to say no to something. I would be shaking, I would be sweating. After I said no, I would have this whole spiral of like, was that mean? Was that good? Was that okay? Should I not have said that? Should I just have fucking done it? It would have just been easier to just do it. Just like take the loss on my own end and overextend myself and do the thing. But I really started deconditioning from that. I started unraveling all of this over apologizing, overcompensating, over yesing, and realizing that when I said no to things, people were still okay with it. They didn't hate me. They didn't want to stop being friends with me. They didn't think I was a terrible person. And I started realizing how powerful that word was. And I think as a Taurus, especially someone who's stubborn and like really just wants things to be a certain way sometimes, giving myself that power back meant that, yeah, I was still the cool girl. I'm still chill. I'm not going to just like create drama and get mad about everything. But I also saw myself in a different way. Like, no, I do have a backbone. I do want things for myself. I do want to stay away from some things. And I need to protect my peace. And this was truly a liberating place. So I encourage you, the next time something happens, this is how you're going to build your boundary muscle. It's practical magic. It's really easy. It just takes practice and confidence. So have a practice pause. Don't auto say yes. Take a breath, take a beat, tune in really quick. And then if you want to say yes, yes, of course, agree to whatever the person is asking of you. But if you don't, find a tactful way to say no. And that could be, no thanks, I've got a lot on my plate. No thanks, I'm busy that night. No thanks, I need some downtime. No thanks, I'm already overextended over here. Or just like, hey, you know what? No thanks, that's not going to work for me. That's it. And then use your body as a compass. Notice how your body feels with yes and no. Is it tight when you say no because you're like, ooh, I shouldn't be doing this? Is it open when you say yes because you've conditioned yourself to this place of being like, yes, I'll do anything? Get yourself to a place where no feels expansive instead of contractive. When you contract, when you say no and you advocate for yourself, you are creating more fear in your body. Your body wants you to say no. Everything wants you to say no. Your brain thinks that it's better to say yes to keep the peace. But when you say no and you can allow yourself to feel that physical, visceral expansion, that is when you start rewriting your nervous system. When you start allowing yourself to actually experience the reality of what you're feeling instead of denying it, masking it, and then betraying it. And then set micro boundaries. So start small. Decline a call, skip the event, turn someone down. But also do the thing that you said you're going to do for yourself. If you're like, I don't feel like doing the dishes tonight after dinner, I'm going to do them in the morning. Do them in the morning. Be a person of your word. Because the more things you let slip with yourself, the more you're going to let slip with other people that you've already set boundaries on and you're just not enacting them. So enact boundaries with yourself and set a very high standard for meeting them. And maybe even punish yourself if you don't do it. If you say, I'm going to do the dishes in the morning and then you don't, take something away from yourself for a while. Like treat yourself like a child. You really do need to be reparented. Inner parented by yourself because you are learning something new. And this has to be a process of maybe a little bribery or maybe a little, you get that taken away. So allow yourself to have these micro boundaries, to really stick to them and to start within. And don't go setting boundaries with everybody else until you've mastered yours first. Until you get into like 2 to 3 weeks at the very minimum. 21 days is what it takes to create a new habit within your life. If you get to 3 weeks, 21 days, and you're like, hey, you know what? I've been really good at setting boundaries. I slipped a couple times, but I course corrected. I've given myself a lot of love. I really understand the power and the purpose of these, and I do feel more freedom. Then have that conversation with someone. Then apply what you've learned with yourself with someone else. And setting a boundary with someone isn't like, hey, you need to step back and you need to respect my shit and blah, blah, blah. Like, that is anger. And you're really only angry at yourself because you've been allowing something to go on for so long that it pushed you to the point of explosion. That's on you. You let that happen. So rather than going to this person like that in that way from your anger, give yourself 21 days of doing it for yourself and then rehearse what you're going to say. Something like, hey, something has been really bothering me. I really would like to set some boundaries, and this is why, and this is what it makes me feel when this happens, and this is what I would prefer to happen. And these are the agreements that I would like for us both to go in on and say, yep, that's cool. We're going to continue this relationship in this way. And then it could be a conversation. You don't need to lash out and have a whole burst when you could really have a tactful, loving conversation, because boundaries really are just love. And ask yourself, what am I afraid will happen when I say no? To yourself, to other people. What am I afraid will happen when I say no? They're going to freak out. Like, go to your worst case scenario. Go to your absolute, like, crazy, dramatic, blockbuster, explosion, pyrotechnic, CGI, worst case scenario. And I promise you, you're going to be like, yeah, you know what? It's going to be fine. I can totally handle that. Because we get in our minds. We tell ourselves that if I say no, then they're going to freak out. Okay, well, that's on them if they freak out. That's not on you. That doesn't affect you at all. If you say no and they have a reaction, that's it. Like, your involvement in that situation ends. Because you set a boundary, they freaked out, now that's on them. So go to your worst case scenario. And remember, boundaries are built through repetition, not perfection. You're going to slip. Something's going to happen. You're going to revert back. We're human. We allow ourselves these forgivenesses, these allowances, because we know that things are always going to be more difficult. Nothing is linear. You're not going to be like, I'm going to set a boundary, I'm going to say no all the time, and then just now to the rest of time you are perfect, like 10 for 10, 10 out of 10 every time, hitting all your boundaries, respecting your own, enacting them with other people, not letting anything slip into old ways. Like, you're going to slip and it's going to be okay, and you're going to reenact them, and you're going to reestablish your boundaries, and you're going to realize how much more freedom you get from even just acknowledging the fact that you slipped, and you forgive yourself and you're moving forward. Because if you keep getting caught on all the times that you slip and then you don't forgive yourself and you don't move forward, you're never going to have boundaries. You're always going to be overextending yourself. You're never going to say no when you really want to, and you're going to allow yourself to people please when you are really just disappointing yourself. Boundaries are the bridge between shadow work and freedom. And you know we love our shadow work a lot around here at Love, Light, and Black Holes. This is the crux of everything. This is the core, the root ball of all of it. And as we're moving up and out through like the real foundation of shadow work, boundaries are so important. It's not being about cold or detached. It's about being clear and grounded and real. It really is love. It's love for yourself, that you are showing other people how to love you better. It's how you say, I love you, but I love me more. And it's not like I'm choosing me over you, which like always should be the case. Hello, I love myself first. I love myself most. I love myself always. You are at the top of the totem pole. I don't care if you have kids. I don't care if you're caring for a parent. I don't care if you're caring for a partner. You have to come first. You always come first. Boundaries are sacred architecture for your energy. And no is the most powerful spell you'll ever cast. So abracadabra, my loves. Go set some boundaries with love. Start within. Let me know how it goes. Leave a review. Tell me all the things. I would love to know how this comes up for you. I'll see you next week. Thanks for diving into the void with me. If today lit something up in you or cracked something open, follow the show and leave a review so we can magnetize more shame slayers and shadow sparklers into this world. Want more? Step through the portal at lovelightandblackholes.com. That's where the wild magic lives. Until next time, dance with your darkness like it's your favorite song and watch the whole universe light up.